We all know what is happening in Ukraine right now. Even though almost 6 months have passed since Russia first attacked Ukraine, not much progress towards peace has been made. On the outside, it may look like a war between two neighboring countries, but deep down, no one can deny the impact it has had on almost the whole world. The conflict has influenced many countries, some positively and some negatively. But all in all, no one is satisfied with the grim situation except for Russia. One particular country is of interest regarding the changes it has adopted during all this chaos. And this country is none other than Communist China. Russia's invasion has completely and permanently changed China. In case you did not know, let us explain. China's stance and response to Russia's war in Ukraine is a delicate balancing act. Because of the political, reputational, and economic dangers associated with a long-term, high-intensity conflict, China is not interested in it. At the same time, China does not want Russia to be completely defeated either, because this may result in the establishment of a pro-Western democratic administration in Moscow, or, in the worst-case scenario, the country's breakup due to an internal political crisis. Any of these outcomes would hand the power over to the West. Despite this obvious reason to support Russia, China is willing to accept a partial weakening of the Federation due to the war and Western sanctions. Simply put, China does not want to see Russia as a powerful and ambitious neighbor. China has traditionally regarded Russia as a medium-strength player and a situational partner in the global battle with the United States. Furthermore, China does not heed Russia as crucial to modernizing its national economy. Another reason not to support Russia beyond what is necessary is this. Suppose Russia loses the war. It will become more dependent on China and Eastern markets. This allows Beijing to bind Russia as a resource asset and expand China's presence in the Russian market in key industrial and economic sectors. Like many non-Western countries, China has formed its position on the Russia-Ukraine conflict by its general foreign policy orientation and sense of the value and purpose of international alliances. The basic reason behind this stance is the fact that not only Russia is to be blamed for the situation. The whole West, particularly the United States, should shoulder the responsibility for what has occurred in Ukraine, because they all had consistently ignored Russia's security concerns. What China thinks about the whole scenario is also very interesting. According to the country, the West should recognize the principle of security indivisibility, which states that one country's security should not be satisfied at the price of the security of another country, and that this principle should serve as a foundation of a new international security architecture. China, like Europe, wants the Ukraine war to finish as soon as possible, but the conflict is prolonged due to the US involvement. China also opposes the unilateral Western sanctions against Russia because the US utilizes these penalties to increase its influence and geo-economic reach. While we do have all this information from China itself, at this moment, it is difficult to say if the Ukraine conflict has harmed or enhanced China's hand in international affairs. Whatever it may be, we are sure that there has indeed been a change in China. The unfortunate series of events brought opportunities and risks, which China is still attempting to assess and deal with effectively. It is indeed true that the war has provided China with numerous chances. A weakened Russia may push Moscow away from the West and closer to Beijing as China's junior partner, just as China has viewed the relationship over the years. In addition, the ongoing conflict in Ukraine has forced China to become more active in increasing its influence in Oceania, Central, and South Asia. At the same time, the US and EU are burdened by aggressive policies against Russia and domestic social and economic challenges. And last but not least, this exposure to Western sanctions and restrictions provides China with vital knowledge of US and EU reaction mechanisms and their willingness to go beyond traditional diplomacy and adopt unconventional tactics of exerting pressure. This information is essential for China in calculating how it will respond in the case of a major conflict with the West, such as over Taiwan. On the other hand, there also came risks for China with the war. The toxic political situation is threatening China's reputation and image abroad as a result of China's close ties with Russia. Also, the Western economic sanctions legislated in response to the war have created challenges for Beijing in carrying out the Belt and Road Initiative, which was supposed to facilitate the transport of goods through Belarus to Russia. And then, finally, there is NATO. The war in Ukraine has laid groundwork for greater NATO alliance strengthening. While this may seem good for us, the same is not the case with China. Since day one, Moscow and Beijing have seen NATO as a tool of American expansionism rather than a defensive alliance. And due to this very reason, Russia and China are unhappy with the progress of NATO during this war. But again, all of this is hypothetical. Several other factors also play a role in determining how this war will affect China. It has only been 6 months since the war started. This is a very insufficient amount of time to completely study the impact of an event on a whole republic. This brings us to the end of this video. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing and sharing so we can keep bringing more content like this. Also, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.